Okay, so we'll start with the CAD modeling part for this problem. So we'll start with NX Neston and we'll start with the model template, and we'll make sure that the units are millimeters. You can save that in any drive and give it a name. Okay, so we'll start with modeling, and as we previously discussed, we'll be modeling only the quarter part of the model, which will be 2D model only. So we won't have any thickness in our model. So we'll start with sketch here, and we'll choose the XY plane as the plane for sketching. So first thing, we'll make sure if I expand the more, I will turn off the auto dimensioning because I usually do not like it. Okay, so I'll turn off the auto dimensioning and I'll start with the sketch. So I will use the profile sketching option, and I'll start with the origin. I'll give it first length of 40 millimeters. You can zoom on to the model if you like. So this one is 40 at an angle 0. The next is 7.7. So you can type the dimensions alongside sketching. You do not need to dimension it afterwards. So 7.7 and angle 90 degree. And then third is 14.3 and 180 degree, and I'll right click and select OK. Then I'll again start with the origin, but this time I'll go along y-axis. So I'll start with origin and 7 millimeters. Then I'll go 25 as the length and angle 0, and again press OK here. Okay, so once you are done up to this point, then we'll draw the fillet. So for that we'll use this option arc and the first method, because uh, we already know the end point. So I'll select this point first, and then I'll select this point, and then I'll make sure that this is tangent to this axis, the lower horizontal one. So you can see there you have a tangent sign there, and the arc is already connected to the center point of to the end points of those two horizontal lines. Okay, so I've made that. So now if I try to see the dimension, so instead of rapid dimension you can see radial dimension, and if I try to select it, it will give me a radius of 0.7, and dimensions will be in red color. So if you notice the message here, it says that the sketch contains over constrained geometry. So because the radius was already tangent to this horizontal line, so it already has a radius of 0.7, and you do not need to define it. So you can use Ctrl Z, and again you will see that all the dimensions are now in the blue color, which means the sketch is now fully constrained, right? All right, so this was the quarter model. The only thing left is to draw the hole uh, at the center of that model. So for that we'll use the circle option, and we'll use uh, circle by center and diameter. So I'll take the center as the origin, and I'll take the diameter as 2.8, right? And that's it. I'll close that option. Okay, so now next thing I need to do is I need to trim few of the lines here, few of the unnecessary lines. So in direct sketch you will find this option, which is quick trim. I'll use select this part of the circle because I need only the quarter part of the circle, and again I'll have to trim these two lines. Okay, so now I have complete model. So this is the discontinuity or the quarter hole that was there in the center, and then the line starts from here. Alright, so sketch is again fully constraints for my model, and now I can finish the sketch. So I'll use finish sketch option, and you will see that this is how the quarter sketch looks like. So now I have to give it a surface without any thickness. So for that I'll use the options. So if you see, there is a surface option here, and in surface you have the option of fill surface. So I'll use the fill surface. Then with connected curves selected, I'll select any of the curve and press OK. So now it has given me a surface but no thickness. Alright, so second thing that we need to do here, so when we go to meshing, we need to make sure that the area where the stress concentration is, say like this hole, so this area should have a very fine mesh compared to the rest of the model. So for that, what we need to do, we need to divide this surface near this hole as well as near fillet, so that you can have a different mesh size in this region compared to the rest of the surface. So for that, what we will do, we'll use this option, which is divide face. So I've already selected this option, and I made it shift to this region. So in your case, you can first type this option here, divide face, and then you can select it from here. So if you want to place it at the current location, you can just right click here and add to the ribbon tab in the current tab, right? So I'll use divide face. I'll select this face, then I'll select the dividing object, which is offset curve in face. So I'll use this curve. First I'll make sure that I have single curve selected here, and then I'll use this curve, right? First I will reverse the direction, and then I'll put an offset of 1 millimeters, and I'll press OK. So now this face is divided at this location into two different faces. The similar thing I need to do here, because again you have a stress concentration here also. So for that, you first need to actually draw a sketch in that region. So again I'll go to sketch, I'll select this surface as the sketching plane, and then I'll select OK. So first thing that you can do here is you can take few offset. So if you expand the direct sketch here, you will see that you have an option of offset curve. So I will use offset curve, and then again I'll select this curve first and the opposite direction. So just make sure you have a single curve here again, and then I'll select this curve again as 1 millimeters should be the offset distance. Then I'll press OK. So now you will see that you have this offset sketch as well as this offset curve, right? But actually we do not need to divide this face using these two curves. So what we will do, we'll draw a line from here, and randomly at kind of sufficient distance we'll draw the line. So starting point can be the point on this offset curve, and then the end point is the point on this curve, right? and then we'll use the quick trim option here and we'll trim this part. So now I will divide this face with the help of this curve that I drew here, so that this part of the model should only have that refined mesh that we talked about. So again, we'll go to divide face, we'll select this face, and then in the dividing object I'll select object, and I'll select this curve. Okay, so just make sure instead of this curve you have connected curves here, and then press OK. So again you will see that this surface is divided with the help of these curves that we used. So again yeah. So in this filter here, type filter, if you go to face now, you will see that you have three faces. This face is different, this face is different, this particular face is different, right? Okay, so this was all that we needed to do to make a 2D model for this problem. We made a quarter model for that, and now we'll shift to the FEM part of the problem.